Welcome back to Deep in State. I'm your host, Nick Hawks. On today's show, we'll have Robin, the co-founder of Wingbits, on the show. This episode is sponsored by Gold Hawks & Associates, the most experienced DePIN consultancy in the space. We help projects develop strategy, messaging, and token incentives. We'll have a little bit more on us later in the show. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, smash the bell, all the things that help us keep bringing great guests like Robin to you. Robin, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Nice to see you again.
Super good to see it. You guys have a ton of news over at Wingbits. There's stuff that I know you guys are in Sweden, so it's a big deal, but that's a little smaller for the world, like this bits and pretzels thing. And then you've got bigger stuff like closing the round. You want to walk me through a couple of the highlights right now?
Yeah, so obviously we came out with the funding round announcement mid September. Yep. We've been sitting on that one for a little bit.
Congrats, since June, right?
Yeah, since June. Yeah, but it was really exciting to close that round. We actually had to turn down we turned down over $1 million in that round. So it was nice to have the interest, but we just wanted to make sure we were in a good position in the event that we need to do future rounds. And that's really what we budgeted for. But since then, expanded the team. I think if you count everyone that's in some form or fashion actively working on the project, whether it's full-time or a freelancer basis, I think we're at 15 people now.
Nice. It started with just 2 of you, and now you're up to 15. Good for you.
Yeah, new office, moved twice in the last few months. So we needed a bigger space, had some new engineers starting last week. And then, last week we're at the Bits and Pretzels, which is, for Europe at least, a very big tech show. Cool. But it was quite exciting because me and Alex, we're part of this thing called Business Sweden. Mm-hmm. It's a government-funded organization for innovative startups in Sweden. Okay. So we actually went there as part of the Swedish delegation, which is exciting mainly because, we're a Web3 project, and we're the only Web3 project that has been in Business Sweden. So I think that goes to show that they can kind of see the value of utilizing, like Web3 in our use case. It's perfect. So that was exciting.
Okay, so we've got some really good news with this funding round closed. That's super exciting to see that you got more folks than you can take right now are interested. Yeah. That's great news across the DePIN space. You've also got this big hardware thing going on. Walk me through what's going on with hardware.
Yeah, so we launching our new devices manufactured by HiFix in collaboration with Geonet. Pre-orders opens October 14th. We had to push it. Initial date was October 1st, but even though we don't manufacture the device, we wanted to make sure to give as good of a buying experience as possible. And what we really needed to solve was to make sure that people that pre-ordered the device also can lock their area until the device arrives, because we didn't want people to end up in a position where they bought the device and then they lose out on the area. We didn't think that was fair. So that's why we pushed it a little bit. But so October 14th. And then obviously we have the giveaway that's closing on the 11th, so 7th today.
For 3 of them, right?
Yeah, those 3 people are going to be the first 3 people that get it in the world.
That'll be pretty cool.
So it's quite exciting.
Mike over at Geonet is pretty sharp on hardware, so I've got high expectations for this thing. I know he's really good at that stuff. We worked with him for a long time. We built their Super Hex thing. Are you guys, as you are going through this, seeing that you're going to be making some big changes to tokenomics coming up, or do you think like, hey, we've got everything built we need to build for the next, whatever year or two, we're just going to be pushing things out, or are we expecting to see something big come down the way?
I wouldn't say like big changes to tokenomics. Right now, we're, since we're still in testnet, we've identified a few things that we want to improve on. There's a pretty big delta between earners in empty areas versus saturated areas. We want to make sure we reward people properly that cover the airports. Still debating on, a few things such as the distribution schedule. So there will be some minor iterations definitely before mainnet, because we're constantly analyzing what's going on in the community, and we're trying to get to a point where we feel like it's as balanced as possible.
Yeah, Max and I have been working lately with cluster incentives and hex boosting. And so the natural question for you guys is, do you guys have a plan to secure high value locations? Are you saying like, hey, we need this spot, so this is how we're going to incentivize a specific location, or you're not quite that far yet?
Yeah, so we haven't implemented it yet, but we will release both regional bounty areas, but also granular bounty areas, like in very specific locations, maybe by a specific airport. So that's definitely on the roadmap to release, yes.
Cool, super cool. Well, maybe we'll get to help you guys out on it. It's been super fun to help a bunch of other projects. It's always good to see these things from the inside, and we laugh that we've seen so many different projects from the inside now, where a lot of people just see them from the outside. Every project has these same struggles, so it's nice to be able to apply that experience to it. Let's see the stations. So I've been a long time Wingbits owner or runner of one of the nodes. When I first came in, I can't remember how many there were, maybe a couple hundred, maybe less. You guys capped out at 2,000 of the things that you've grandfathered in, right? Was it 1,500 you grandfathered in, then 500
so
more, something like that?
We grandfathered in, I think it will end up being 1,600.
1,600, okay.
Who all will get the GeoSigner dongle for free.
Yep.
And so when that's released, we'll collect everyone's information, so everyone will have plenty of time to submit their information and receive it and install it. Then we released another batch of about 400 that cost $50. So those sold out, and luckily, we had so much demand that we decided to release another small batch, 500, opened up on 4 p.m. CET, October 8th.
Okay.
So we're gonna let that one sell out, and then after that, the plan is to move to approved hardware only. And again, the pre-order start middle of October for the new devices.
Right on. Super good for you guys. It's really good to see that hardware is selling out, and it is such a neat project in terms of, for a lot of the folks who are in Helium, they can use a lot of the knowledge that they gain from Helium in Wingbits as far as where do you put your antenna, what kind of antenna do you get, what's important about it, what's not important, all of those things. Super cool.
Exactly. And then we implemented it. One thing we wanted to make sure we gave the community was transparency, which has been very hard in determining like where should I deploy before. So now on the map, you can click all the taken areas. You can see what they earn, how much they cover. And we wanted to essentially give people a better way of, making that decision more educated decision before spending money on the hardware and deploying. So that was just the first step in allowing people some more transparency. Later on, I'm sure we're going to come out with coverage heat maps or cold maps where it's empty. But we want to work towards that for sure.
Love it. Love it. Super good to see you guys growing. Let's take a quick break and we'll talk about today's sponsor, Goldhawks and Associates. We're a DePIN consultant firm helping projects with strategy, messaging, and token incentives. We run a blog for founders over at goldandhawks.com, produce the show, and most importantly, work with the core teams and communities of your favorite projects in the space to ensure tokenomics and incentives are fully aligned to build out some of the most badass physical infrastructure networks in the world. If your project needs help with any of these, check out goldandhawks.com. So, Robin, one of the things that we've kind of skipped over is that there are two pieces of hardware coming out. We got the WB, what is it, 200 and the 300?
Yes.
What should people be looking for in the difference between those two? Should I buy the 300? Should I wait for the 900? Like what's coming down the pipe?
I mean, I think it depends on what you're looking for, right? If you're already in Geonet and you don't want to replace that, I would definitely go for the B200, which is Wingbits only. I'd say if maybe the Geonet location is already taken, but you're not in Wingbits, definitely go for WB200. I think the cool thing about the dual miner is that if you're not in any project or you want to replace an existing device, I think that one is a lot of bang for your buck. But either way, both of them are exciting because both of them are super high end, plug and play, easy to use. So it's really up to what you're looking for,
Got it. I mean, they look super cool. It's like this little alien saucer thing and an antenna out the top. And is that antenna replaceable? Can I put a fancier one on there, or is that kind of built in and stuck permanently on the thing?
No, so it comes with the standard antenna on top, but then on the side of the device you have some other outputs where you can actually, if you have a custom antenna that's really, some people build some crazy good antennas.
I'm going to build a custom antenna. Come on, dog.
I know. So we added that just for you, so you can plug in a different antenna as well.
Okay. And then can you do the same thing for Geonet? I know that Geonets come with a pretty good antenna, but I've been working a lot with 𝐒𝐚𝐤𝐤𝐸 doing GNSS stuff. And there are some options with choke ring antennas that can really improve what you can see and the quality of your signal. Is that also going to be on the table, or is that going to be built in and kind of locked in?
You know what? I don't want to answer that one because I don't really know. My guess is that it's built in. But the main difference on this one is that it's actually a brand new type of Geonet device. Also comes with a kind of a PoE solution, because I know some people maybe had issues with the Wi-Fi.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
So that's going to be quite nice.
Okay, that was my next question was, can I just put this on a roof with Ethernet only and run it over PoE? But it sounds like I can, no problem.
Yeah, it's actually a dual cable, so it's a power cable that has the Ethernet running in it. So you don't have to connect it to Wi-Fi, which should make life easier for a lot of people.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm always avoiding Wi-Fi wherever I can because I've
Yeah,
got enough
exactly.
devices on my network, and it's just not as reliable as that hard line. Okay, let's see. So I've noticed a couple things here in San Diego. I've got two Wingbits units. They're only about half mile apart, and they're more or less at the same height. One is maybe 20 feet higher than the other. They're doing super well, but I'm thinking about moving one of mine out to a mountaintop. I'm kind of worried about the latency that's going to come out from that. So it'll probably be around 200 milliseconds. If I chase it super hard, I can probably get it down to 30. Is that something I need to worry about with Wingbits, or is latency under a couple seconds not really a big deal?
No, so right now, I mean, under a couple of seconds is perfect.
Okay.
When you look at a customer requirements, a lot of them don't even need latency under 15 seconds, but some need lower latency.
Wow. Okay.
Our average latency now from essentially from the plane to the buyer on average is 95% of data is under a second and a half, which is really good. If you considering that the other networks, they are the best one is at like 4 or 5 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are crushing. And let's see, when I guess we'll go back to the kind of the beginning, which was all of these investors being psyched to jump in this round and the whole thing is oversubscribed. Was there an aspect or a few aspects that you felt like they saw that maybe a normal person wouldn't see or wouldn't really think about or spend time to think about that got them really excited and as like a confidence booster for the whole project for you?
Well, I think the main thing that happens is that majority of people don't understand how the space works because it's, the aviation is kind of niche. Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that a big portion of the industry actually relies on data that's already being crowdsourced in the existing networks, just that they don't get anything in return. Yep. And then when you show an investor and they figure out that, okay, the average price for a live data stream currently is like $25,000 a month. These companies are breaching $100 million revenue just selling this data. The market is 22 billion. It's growing extremely fast because demand is increasing, use cases are increasing. Then they get kind of excited. And from what's cool from a project point of view is that I feel like it's quite fun. It's very tangible. Yeah. You set up your station, you can see what planes are yours. Yep. And it's pretty easy to understand what it means. And I think from an investor point of view, since the space is kind of untapped, not many people understand it, not many people go into it. The opportunity is massive. When they see that, they get pretty excited. And traction-wise, I mean, we've had really good traction. Our growth rate is more than 6 times higher than any other network has ever achieved in the aviation space. So those things combined, I guess, create some enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good to see. It is a classic DePIN project. It's got the hardware piece. It's got the physical location requirement. It's got a little bit of geekery that goes into making your location better or worse than others. So I think it's got all of the basic elements of a pretty exciting project. And it's been a lot of fun for me to engage with the whole thing. Is there anything else that you want folks to know? I know we want to do a catch up on this and just get a bunch of updates out. I think we covered most of it. Was there anything else that you want to put out there?
No, not more than that. I think now as the team is expanding, there's going to be a lot of new development coming out, both from like a platform, features, user experience. We're working on a mobile app, which is going to take a little while, but that's going to help us a lot, both in terms of notification for offline antennas, but also for maybe some exciting actions that people can take in the future to probably get some cool stuff.
I like the sound of this.
Yeah. So, I think just there's going to be a lot of cool things happening the remainder of this year. Obviously, we're trying to ramp up to reach mainnet as fast as possible while being responsible towards the community and make sure everything's set up. But so I guess prepare for an exciting fall or winter. Yeah.
No, it's going to be super, super good. And I guess I will get pilloried if I don't ask it. Do you have a set date that you're locked into for mainnet for people who don't know? Or you're still like, hey guys, it'll happen when it happens?
Now, we don't, we have a goal, which is end of this year.
Good.
But, and we're debating back and forth because we want to make sure that we launch on the right foot.
Yep.
Make sure that we have everything handled from a gaming perspective, from security network, making sure all the early adopters are taken care of properly.
Yep.
So when everything, if everything is solved, we'll launch later this year. If it's not solved, we may push it a month or so, but I think it's rather do it right than doing it, a month earlier.
Love it. Love it. Love you guys' approach. It's super good to have you back on. Robin, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks, Nick.